I want to start with Kathy. Kathy, what age were you first bullied, and what was your experience like?
It started right off in first grade. I never went to kindergarten, and it literally was day one, it started. I was just a weird kid. I was different. I didn't have very great social skills, and I thought that was my norm. You know, it was my norm, and it lasted until the day I graduated. It calmed down in like junior, senior year, because by then everybody has changed and matured very small, very slightly, but otherwise it was a daily event. And between what I was receiving at home and then I would dread going to school, there was never a safe place for me. So at home was mental, emotional, fun, and then I would go in, and what I did not receive at home, I received at school with also physical abuse as well.
Okay, did you receive any help at that time?
None whatsoever. Back then, I mean, late 70s, when I first started school, mid to late 70s, uh, it was just a way of life. Teachers, it was literally, even at first grade, kids knew snitches got stitches.
Okay.
So
Now,
you just had to shut it up. And then my parents, they were just of a different mindset. They're like, well, what did you do to create that? So I just wouldn't talk about it.
the person that did the bullying, in our conversations, you told me that later on he apologized.
Right. There was one boy, he moved in from another school later on, I guess fifth, sixth grade, you know, getting old, I can't remember. But he showed up and he just kind of went along with the crowd. He wasn't as severe as some of the others. I mean, it wasn't just one. These were multiples, boys and girls. It was, there was no discrimination on who it was. Um, and it really just came down to that later on, after many, many years, just probably just 2 years ago, he reached out and apologized to me because his career ended up, he owns a couple of karate schools, and his platform is anti-bullying. And it was very interesting because it was just a random thing. I watched him. I friended him on Facebook, or actually he reached out to me. I don't even remember how it happened. And he even said, it was like, here I am, here he is lecturing to all these kids about bullying or anti-bullying, and not once he ever apologized. So he gave a formal apology. And what he says, and the one thing about a lot of people who are victims of bullying is you ask why. Why did I have to go through that? Why do I have to deal with this? Why? Well, God always has the reason. And unfortunately, you don't know it for a long time. When he made his apology, he says he uses me as the example of what he did. He admits what he did, and he basically said, "This girl Cat," and tell kids what I went through and what he did to me. And it was like, so I went through a lot of that. In a way, I'm helping children now in a very passive way, but it taught him to change his ways, and now he's lecturing and helping so many today to fight against bullying. So that was a very interesting thing, and I always thought I was very healed. You know, I've done a lot of personal growth and work and so on. I'm like, I'm over it. But there was that one little thing. It's amazing what that one little apology can do. It was like, wow. It was mind blowing to even hear that.
And that is mind blowing. And that was very mature of him to come to you later on in years as an adult and apologize because he recognized what he did was so wrong.
Yeah.
And at that time not care, because bullies don't care about how someone else feel internally. They don't realize what they're doing actually hurt people.
Right. And through the work I do, working with people's emotions and helping deal with past traumas with people, and helping them work into their inner truth, we all project out what we're dealing with on the inside. So here I am receiving all this negativity, but when I learned was these kids are projecting what they're not either not receiving or receiving at home. They're just the outward projection of what they're dealing with.
Right.
And there was a part of me even back then kind of knew that it's like they must be living a complete shit show at home.
Yeah.
And I was not strong. But I wasn't strong enough to fight back for it. But also I knew I didn't have anybody who had my back.
Okay.
So I couldn't fight back. Because if I did, my ass is handed to me the next day. Yeah.
Now, over the years and becoming an adult woman, you have transitioned and you're very successful. You were my massage therapy instructor during the time I was in massage therapy school. You're very successful in your practice, and you are now an international bestseller one of the authors of a collaboration of 35 women of a book. And I'd like to congratulate you on your success with that.
Yes.
Because that, and also to add in there, the rage. I wasn't just angry, I was raging. I had an underlying rage that was just stuffed down. And what originally helped me cope with a lot of it was martial arts. So
Okay.
I was in karate for 20 years. I kind of retired the last 5 years or so, but I obtained my 4th degree black belt. That rage
That's
was
awesome.
a long way.
That's awesome, because I remember when I was a student, she was a practicing martial arts when we were in school.
Yeah. So it was that constant need to overcome my inner beliefs of I'm a failure, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm ugly, I'm a horrible human being, I'm nothing but a piece of shit, is really what I have transcended from. Yeah.
And that is a big progression from where you were to where you are at today, lady, because you're doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Believe me, it's been a ton of work, but it's also, again, like you, I wonder, why do you have to go through this? I look at the people that now I help today, privately in groups or so on, that I can relate to almost anybody now. You know, it's like there's certain segments I'm blessed I never had to endure, but it's just, I understand just abuse in general and the emotions that need to overcome it and the steps that need to be taken to find your inner truth, really discover who you are and know that, you know what, I'm in a twisted way incredibly grateful for what I endured. I couldn't understand it then, but now, I mean, if I could handle that, I can pretty much handle anything.
Yeah.
The only thing that I still, and I'm getting much better because I finally got into a new community of extremely supportive professional women, is knowing who to trust or trusting in general. So it's me, it's only me because someone's going to stab me in the back or anything. You know, it was a form of PTSD, of that jitteriness. But now I'm relaxed now. I'm like, no one can take my power. Nobody. Only I can give my power away.
Right. Only you. Only you can give your power away. That's absolutely correct. Kathy, what would you say to individuals that are experiencing what you went through, how to overcome it, how to deal with it, and what suggestions do you have for them? Because like now there's a lot of resources out there compared to at the time.
If there is anybody who is willing to listen, talk about it. That was the number one thing I think was the most unsettling and most torturous part of it all, was I couldn't speak to anybody. And the people who were on, quote, my side, my friends, which were only a couple, they too were being bullied. So it was like, misery seeks company, so we couldn't really talk about it, and it was sad that the teachers wouldn't step in at the time, and so
Okay.
on. So it's wonderful seeing these laws and so on come in, but again, no one takes it seriously because it's being treated in a way that it's like something new and wonderful. No, it's been around since the turn of time. It's just the way the human brain works about giving dominance, submission, all of that. You can go into the whole psychology behind it. But I think what's really the worst part is what makes it difficult for kids to overcome it is social media. There's no downtime.
No, the social media is up 24/7.
Yeah. At least I could go run out in the woods for a couple hours and decompress. So I'd find hiding places. Social media, nothing. No. I could not imagine. I mean, I wanted to kill myself more than once. I had many morbid thoughts of suicide, very serious when age 13. And I can truly understand why some of these kids take their lives, because it is too much. I barely hold on back then.
Mhm.
To have all of that now, so it's really the resources, if they're there, take them. And being in such a national, international platform, that it's less of an issue of the snitches get stitches.
Right.
It's like knowing somebody's got your back, and I think that's the biggest thing the kids need to know that are receiving bullying, that it's okay to step up. You will be safe. You will be protected. You have somebody who's got your back.
Right. That support system is needed, especially for the young people, because bullying do leads to suicide, and there's so many forms of bullying.
Oh,
Children get bullied in school, they get bullied at home, they get bullied as adults.
I
They
got
get
bullied in
bullied
church.
in the environment.
I would go to church on Sundays and get bullied by the other kids. I mean, we're talking only day off for me was Saturdays.
Oh,
I get it.
It was crazy.
I am pleased that you have came and traveled and progressed along from where you were to where you are at now. Now I want you to tell the people about your book, because you are an author.
Yeah, literally, it blindsided me. It's a very long story how I even got there, but it really was. It's a compilation of 30 different authors and their individual's journey to their lives, their how they became empowered, overcame their struggles, and what really how they are making an impact in the world. My story touches a little bit on bullying, also coming from an alcoholic family, and also and on top of that, being a very sensitive, empathic, clairsentient. So here I am with these gifts and receiving all of this negativity and
you're
learning how
open.
to overcome
Sponge.
all of that. Yeah, it took me years to realize that about 90% of what I feel is not mine. It's what I thought was mine.
Okay.
And learning and that process of coming through that, and how it actually created all of that, created who I am today in the positive way, and how I'm helping people now overcome their traumas, their issues, and so on. And also, especially for those who are sensitive. Also, I was undiagnosed Asperger. I didn't even know what that was until when autism hit, and it was a doctor who told me, he's like, by the way, you should go look that up. I think you are. And it was my brother who said, oh yeah, I could have told you that. I'm like, well, thanks for cluing me in after all these years. Yeah. Here I am in my 40s, and I'm just now figuring out, I'm like, oh, maybe I truly was the weird kid. Who knew?
Right.
Who knew?
Tell the people where they can purchase your book.
I can go on Amazon.com, right there, and look for Women Who Impact. It's a phenomenal book. Anybody who wants to have it signed, they can reach out to me. All the authors are actually, it's kind of an interesting way the book is published, because a lot of these people are in more self-help they have these amazing platforms of how they are changing the world. And you can contact the authors individually and look for
Wow.
information. Yeah. So
Okay.
my platform is working with people uncovering and hearing their inner truth, because what we think about ourselves is not reality. It's like, who are we really deep inside? Do we believe what other people have told us and literally feed into you? Or
Mhm.
you move past that and find the strength, the compassion, the love, the joy, the amazing human being people are. So it's really an awesome thing that this book comes out, that and so many women out there are doing almost the exact same thing, but to different demographics or different ways of doing it.
Right.
You know, like I've changed my name of my business to Move Out of Your Way. And that's what I do, is I get people to move out of the way to see their truth.
Oh, that's
Yeah, there's
fantastic.
a saying, get out of your own way so you can progress on.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
.com.
Kat, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for allowing me to share your story
Oh,
with
thank you for
everybody
having me.
that's watching live. I much appreciate it. Erica. Hi, Miss Erica Blackwell.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Erica, everybody, is a colleague of mine, and she has a son that is in the Philadelphia School District who have experienced bullying. So she's going to talk about his experience as a person, a young child that's being bullied by other children, because children can be mean. And he's going to talk about it from a parent advocate who has to deal with the school district going back and forth to meetings and not getting the progress that she should have seen as far as her son getting help from the teachers or from the administrators in the school district. So can you tell us your story?
Yes. Well, I do. I have a son, and his name is Ellis. He's 12. Right now, he's in the 7th grade. Um, I homeschooled him until the 3rd grade. Um, I will say, at the time that I was homeschooling him, I was envisioning how I went to school. And that's how I taught, was able to teach, started teaching him, and really didn't know the dynamics of the school district in this time era at all. Unfortunately, I was going through separation, divorce, and I couldn't homeschool him any longer. So at first I wanted to have him to have discipline and, education. So I went to a Catholic school. And that didn't go over too well for him because he was so used to being free,
Okay.
being or able to. And I said, okay, well, that didn't work out. So I had to put him in public school, which is fine. But I found out that, certain he would come home upset, angry, and this was in the 4th grade, and he would tell me that this person did this to him, or he was in a fight, or the teacher. I said, what do you mean he's fighting? He doesn't fight. That's not the kind of kid he is. So he went, always kept contact with his teachers through email or text, and they would see, they could not say that these other children were bullying him, but they would say to me in a way that this is happening.
Okay.
And I think it was because of their job. They didn't want to lose their job. So we had so many meetings. It came to the point to where as though they started blaming my son for the trouble. He's starting it. Well, I know my child, and every parent says, but I know that he's not that type of child. Now, if you hit him, he's going to tell, and if you keep him, he's going to hit back. He's
Right.
going to do to you, but I think that's, I don't know whether it's a natural instinct for boys. I don't know. But I would come up to the school and I would see groups of kids bothering him. And then I would, comment on it, like what's going on. And one day I walked into the school, and this kid literally punched him in his face, and he was about to pummel him, but I stopped it. I got in between and pushed them away. And there it wasn't anyone, and when I would say there wasn't an adult or a teacher. Once they let the kids out, they went back in. No one monitored the perimeter. No one monitored where the kids went. It was just a free for all. So and I'm literally screaming, I'm done with this, you know. And the principal, and you know, when I finally got in to see the principal said that I should not have touched the other child, and that they can have me arrested, and what else, and that it was my child. And I said, call the cops. We'll see. I said, and then once you call them, you know, I want this child arrested as well, because we'll both be going out in handcuffs, you know. So the next day I got a letter saying that I'm not able to go onto school grounds. So I went to the school district, I went on the school district's website to fill out bullying forms to see what to do. And I would fill out these forms, but they would be ignored. Or they would, the principal would say, "Oh, I never seen this before. I don't even know what this is." So, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" You know. So my child was assaulted. I mean, he was assaulted several times, and I would go up there. I finally went to went to the school board, and I would not leave until I spoke to someone in the I should have had this written down. I'm sorry. In the Department of Climate Control.
Okay.
And I told them what was going on. And from there, it was a lady there who I went to high school with. And I'm telling her what was going on. So once I got all these people, you know, at the time at this particular school in on what was going on, I said, you know what, if they're not going to do anything, I want them transferred. So the principal was telling me, well, I can't do that. You have to go down to the school board. Well, I went down to the school board, and the school board said, you have to talk to the principal. I said, no, well, I'm not leaving until he needs to be out of here. To wrap that particular school up, that we had the meetings. It was my son had told me that one of the monitors outside was recording him on their personal phone. So none of the kids wanted to play with him. So he's in the Boy Scouts. So at the time Cub Scouts. So he was playing with sticks, grass. I mean, that's what he did. So he does it at home. We go hiking, you know. So it was recording him, and then they let him take his lunch. So when it was all brought out in this particular meeting, you know, the guy, you know, ended up saying, you know, yeah, they took his lunch, and yeah, I was recording him. I said, what, for your personal use? So when I said that, you know, it was pretty much, oh, well, you know, you were thinking about transferring, you know, oh, you don't want that particular thing to come out. So, I mean, it's a whole lot of other little things that the school tried to interfere with me complaining about bullying, and for them not to do anything about what's going on, because it's the whole school within, the whole climate of the school, and they're not going to deal, you know, or try to help one child. Now, if more parents were to come up and, you know, say something, then that'd have been different. So they transferred him to another school, a smaller school, still public. It was a lottery school. And of course the principals know each other. So the second day that my son got there, the principal from the first school visited that principal. So he said, Mom, I saw, you know, this. I said, oh, you did? So I emailed the people in the, you know, that handles the bullying, and said that, you know, is she, you know, trying to intimidate my child? You know, like, what's that about? And then the principal there at the new school said to me, well, we know, what bullying is, and I don't think he experienced bullying. I said, well, that's your own opinion. I said, hopefully it doesn't happen here. So by
Right.
this time, I was able to gather a whole lot more information and a whole lot of steps to, to keep if it happens again. I
Right.
didn't. The school district on their website doesn't have emails for the teachers. You really have to dig deep to find the emails. And I found a lot of advocacy groups that deal with the public school system that they can get information and on the teachers, or find out, because if you didn't have anything written down, anybody can say anything.
Right.
You have to create a paper trail. That's number one. Create a paper trail. I was able to contact. I called Harrisburg to find out what to do about bullying. And they will connect me to somebody in the school board because their numbers aren't on the site. They do now have a working bullying form. But once you do the form, it goes to the school district. The principal has a certain amount of time to answer it. Usually they'll try to blame the other child, or if the bully hits the child and the child hits back, they will deem it as a fight, not as protecting yourself.
Okay, which is really self-defense.
Which is really self-defense. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to argue that. And this particular school had cameras. I'm not too sure about the other school, but this one had cameras. And they assigned him, I would say, a 1-to-1. Well, I'm sorry. Before we left the other school, and I said, safety measures need to be put in place before he goes over there, and this needs to be followed, because he was getting really good grades when this stuff started happening. His grades started to drop. So once he was over at this school, he had he was on his special education as far as a 504 plan, which included a 1-to-1 with him to acclimate from the trauma he's had at that school. And I said, well, how is he going to prosper in this school and just be left, alone? So I think that a lot of the things that they could not back up at this other school, they tried to put measures in at this school. And the children, the climate, again, it wasn't as bad as the other school, but the climate it was. I mean, the first day he got there, a kid had pushed him, and he pushed the kid back. It's like, what's going on? So they got a 1-to-1. So this woman, and her name is Miss Davis, wonderful woman. She had helped him, but she started noticing that these kids are doing this to him. And it wasn't just him. I will say it was other kids who would not fight back.
Okay.
So he had a group of kids, and by this time, Ellis has had experience with having to deal with that. So he would, if they say it to him, he would say it back. Many fights. It was this one particular incident where Miss Davis had got, I want to say, a bag of toys like basketball, soccer ball, and just different things for Ellis and his particular group of friends. He may have had one friend to play with. She turned her back, and at least 4 or 5 boys jumped on him to try to take him down. He didn't fall down, but she finally, and there were witnesses outside. So before she even called the principal, she texted me. She said, you need to come here. Because back and forth, I was telling the principal, this is going on. And I said, well, I said, okay. So I knew what I needed to do. So went to this, again, I apologize. I wish I had the name of the offices, the different offices that I called to get the email addresses of the principal, their counselor, to write them. And once I told the principal, because this one particular kid had smacked him in his face. And I told him, I said, if this child hits again, I'm going to call the police. Oh, and the principal wanted to have a meeting. I said, we had a meeting, no more meetings. So when this incident happened, I came up to the school. The principal didn't even know what was going on. So when it was told to him, I said, I want to see it. I want to see it on the camera because I know you have it. And it showed it. And I looked at him. I said, I want the cops here now. You know, and I don't know why I did not call the cops myself. I don't think I was thinking call the cops, and I didn't know how that went, or you know. So the mother, he ended up calling the child's mother, and the mother went up there, started talking, you know, being nasty in the office. And at this time, I said, you know what? And I told him, I said, look, I'm not. I said, I know what you probably want to happen. I said, but I'm not going to do it because they work on the parents' emotional, work on the parents' emotions.
Okay.
You're not going to touch my child. And if you get raunchy, disrespectful to them, they can say, oh, I feel threatened by you. So you can't protect your child.
Right.
You know, I think that, I don't know if they hold a class at the school board for all these people, you know, to say, this is the steps you do, you know, if, you know, but I didn't. The lady, and I said, well, you know what? You know, the lady was talking bad. I said, well, you know, I said a few words, and then I said to the principal, I said, I told you, you know, not to do this. I said, you know, what he ended up saying, he said, well, Miss Blackwell, I'll put out a bolo mentioning what happened, and you know, and to speak to your children, and you know, because he didn't want the police to be called. And it still didn't stop there. So I filled out a lot of bullying harassment forms online. And that's where he felt as though that he had to retaliate on me and take his one-to-one away.
Okay.
Just took it away. So he was left there without any protection because she actually became, you know, his protector, you know, from the bullying. And it got worse. He didn't have anyone to help him. So I would tell him if he felt threatened, walk to the office and call me. Well, they wouldn't let him call me. So once he got home, all this stuff would happen. Everybody would act stupid, like I don't know what was going on. I don't know. I said, okay. And so I started. So I called. You know, I got hit the principal's email. I got the therapist's email. The one-to-one that was with him the principal had wrote her a letter saying that we no longer need your services. You can go back to the school board, you know, and he told me that I was told by the principal that they didn't have enough money to keep the quote unquote one-to-one. So I contacted the Education Law Center and I explained what was happening. And since he was on a 504, and they consider that special education, so which was good in our favor. And I was able, and I said, I want to know why this one-to-one was taken away. And he emailed me back to say, oh, we didn't have the money. So by him putting his foot in his mouth, pretty much, you know, the Education Law Center was able to step in.
Okay.
So, and that's what I kept doing. Everything that happened, I would write out everything that happened and I would email it to them. The more people that I put on there, I even put on there the chief director of prevention and intervention. That's what it was. And I thought that she would have been, I want to say her name was, are we allowed to say names?
Yes, you are.
Oh, okay, Lori Pastor from
Okay. Yes, you are.
Pastor. She was the chief. I want to say the chief of for the prevention and intervention. I don't know if she is now, but she was one of the persons that intervened at the first school, and he wasn't, and my son was not happy. So in the second school, I called her again. So now it looks like, is it my child? You know, I know my child. I'm there, you know, so if I know, and if you show me if he did something wrong, show me, and I'll apologize for it, and I'll work with him with it, but they could not do that because he wasn't doing that. The one-to-one that he did have, Ms. Davis, she said, go to NHS services. She said, just have him evaluated, saying, he's, upset, angry, he's being bullied. I just want him evaluated. And from there, they deemed that he needed help. He needed, I went to his pediatrician, and the pediatrician wrote a letter as well to, for me to give to the Education Law Center. I also called Michael Bash. He's a lawyer. Michael Bash is a lawyer who has handled or has dealt with the school district of Philadelphia.
Okay.
Because of the different things that
goes
right.
on. Now, I don't mean to cut you off, but let me ask you this. Tell the people what NHS is, or NIH that you just mentioned.
Well, NHS is National Health Services.
Okay.
I believe it's National Health Services. Now they're Americare. They've changed their names to Americare. But NHS has been around for a very long time.
How is Ellis doing now?
Well, now he was diagnosed with PTSD.
Okay.
But I would, he was diagnosed with PTSD. We have a mobile therapist from Americare come every Sunday, and a blended case manager who's able to go into the school to see how he's doing, and they can't stop her.
Okay.
If anything, I would say paper trail, and hold your emotions and treat it like a business transaction. Like, even though that's your child, I think that's what I have learned, and question them. You have to get into your child's business at school. You have to know what they're doing. You have to be available for their teachers at any moment. Yeah, you can leave them at school, and how was your day? You have to. And I think that a lot of parents nowadays, they're good at home, go to school, will think or treat it as though how they went to school, but it's a totally different monster, totally different. And you have to be up on them. I wouldn't let him get a phone. He didn't need a phone. This year he has one, and he's not allowed on social media until maybe I decided the first report of the 8th grade. He's in 7th now. He doesn't need social media,
Right. I'd like to take the time out to thank Miss Erica Blackwell for sharing her story about what her son has been through, how he has been traumatized from bullying, what she has been through as a parent advocate that had to deal with administrators and teachers not really doing anything in reference to getting her son the help that he really needed and to stop the bullies. I know the school that I taught at, Distant Elementary School, there was this he was an ex-cop, and he was in charge of the bullying prevention program. And at this school that I taught at, any child who was being bullied, he would help them, but he would also focus on the bullies. And he would put the bullies into a program and teach them how wrong it is to bully. And the parents had to get involved with it as well. So out of all the schools I taught at in the Philadelphia School District, that was the only school that I saw that had a bullying prevention program, and to top it off, that made it so well, it was an ex-police officer, which was great. And the bullying minimized because of that, which was also good. So I want to take the time out to thank both these ladies for sharing their story. I don't want to hold up any more of their time. Their time is very precious. Their time is very important. And I'm already over the time. So I'm going to end my sessions with them. Thank you, ladies, for joining me. Everybody else that's live, I need y'all to stay with me on live, because I have my next segment coming up for suicide, and that's a whole nother topic. So if you ladies want to join me in the suicide and just observe what's going on in the suicide segment, come into my regular Facebook group, Carolyn Hubert Black, and you'll see it there. Okay, thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you.